Organizers are calling it the largest ever mobilization of underpaid workers, as hundreds of protesters took to the streets of New York City on Wednesday, calling on companies to raise their minimum wage to $15 an hour and allow workers to unionize. 2.5 years since its inception, the Fight for 15 says its network of protesters has expanded its umbrella from fast food cooks and cashiers to include home and childcare workers, adjunct professors, and airport and retail workers.
If workers have a job and they go to work 40 hours a week, they should be able to afford food, shelter, and clothing for them and their kids. So if people are getting paid less than $15 an hour, then it's hard for anybody anywhere in the country to do that. On top of that, workers are fighting for a union, and if you don't have a union, you have no protection and you have no guarantees on a job.
Today, organizers say the rallies extended to over 230 cities and 32 countries. Here in New York, protesters spent the day staging events throughout the city, including this die-in at an Upper West Side McDonald's. 21-year-old Wendy's employee Timothy Roach said he traveled to New York from Wisconsin to join today's protests.
And we're not going to stop till we get it, because it's a lot of things that society needs from us and we need from society.
While many states exceed the current U.S. federal minimum wage of $7.25 an hour, the Fight for 15 movement aims not only to pressure companies to raise their hourly pay rates, but also highlight that many of the current low-wage workers are forced to bolster their income with federal subsidies. A recent study from the University of California, Berkeley estimates that more than half of all fast food workers and nearly half of all childcare workers rely on public assistance, costing the U.S. government nearly $153 billion a year.
Nobody in New York City can survive minimum wage with $8.75.
McDonald's shift worker Jamal Tarver has worked at the fast food restaurant for nearly 3 years, and he says he needs public assistance in order to make ends meet. Despite McDonald's recent announcement that it would raise its minimum wage for some of its workers, he says the move had more to do with public relations than anything else.
To me, that was a joke because of the simple fact that it doesn't touch all the McDonald's in a whole. It's just basically corporate, it's not franchised, and it's just they're employed because they feel the pressure.
But as a recent Standard & Poor's report cited, such moves by McDonald's, and more notably Walmart, who announced it would start to raise its minimum wage for almost 500,000 workers, has put wider pressure on other companies to follow suit. And at the same time, S&P feels it may well help companies such as McDonald's address many of the other issues the company is currently wrestling with.
The big names that we rate, so obviously McDonald's, Walmart, companies like Costco, Starbucks, they are all very profitable companies. The McDonald's in particular, we do have a negative outlook on it. That's more reflective of kind of some of the turnaround things that are being put in place by the new CEO, just given loss of traction with the consumer, other competition in the burger space. So we don't think raising the wages solves that issue, but it could address lower turnover potentially, morale. So it could have a positive effect given they're focused on improved customer service.
This has certainly been the experience for the Massachusetts-based Endurance International Group. With a market cap of $2.4 billion, the web company is moving its starting hourly wage for all of its U.S.-based call center workers to $14 an hour.
That's your front-facing interface to your customer. A crankier sort of person that isn't happy doing what they're doing because they're not earning the right amount of salary to stay motivated is going to leave a bad taste, so to speak, in somebody's mouth that they're at a fast food place or someplace else. Similar to that, in our industry, if you don't have someone that has a good interface with the customer leaves with a bad taste in their mouth. So I think these are pretty directly comparable issues.
But it can be difficult to rally a collective around a long-term, nuanced analysis. So for now, the Fight for 15 must rely on the television cameras and social media ecosystem to keep the movement and the message going. Optics aside, today's action was bigger than in 2013. So even if Walmart and McDonald's continue to make small concessions, it doesn't seem the movement is going to lose any steam anytime soon. Christopher Booker, Financial Times, New York.